Hello, Susan Duclos with All News Pipeline. It's March 4th, 2017. In my previous video, I mentioned that the article that I was writing would include this, but since it has blown up all over the internet right now, it's produced three hashtags: wiretap, FISA, and Trump Tower on Twitter. And there's since just this morning, a ton of ink been dedicated to this. We're going to go ahead and do one quick on this. It started this morning when Trump tweeted, "Terrible. Just found out that Obama had my wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism." He followed that up with "Just out. The same Russian ambassador that met with Jeff Sessions visited with Obama White House 22 times, but that's not what this is about." He goes on, "Is it legal for a sitting president to be wiretapping a race for president prior to an election? Turned down by the court earlier, a new low." Then he continues, "I bet a good lawyer could make a great case out of the fact that President Obama was tapping my phones in October, just prior to the election. And last but not least, how low has a president gone to tap my phones during very sacred election process? This is Nixon Watergate, bad or sick guy." Now, let's go take a look at a few other things that are out on this already. I'll show you the one that I did that I linked in the previous video, and then we'll go to others. Okay, I started off showing all of his tweets, as you can see, and I asked, why would Trump be putting this information out right now when prior revelations already indicated Obama was using the FISA court against Trump campaign and had been turned down just to resubmit a more narrow request to spy on Trump's campaign during the election process. If you go back to January 11th, The Guardian reported that the FBI applied for a warrant from the FISA court over the summer in order to monitor 4 members of the Trump team suspected of irregular contacts with Russian officials. FISA court turned down that application, asking the FBI counterintelligence investigators to narrow its focus. So we already know that they were just trying for a blanket surveillance, and the court turned them down. According to one report, the FBI was finally granted the warrant in October. So that was a month before the election, and it has not been confirmed, and it wasn't clear. Well, evidently it's been confirmed now, because Trump must have found out something. Now, that was followed up by Andrew McCarthy over at National Review. He's a former terrorism prosecutor, and he said the idea that FISA could be used against political enemies always seemed far-fetched and that now it might not be. And he summarized it. But then he specifically mentioned it's a good example of why investigations properly proceed in secret and are not publicly announced unless and until the government is ready to put its money where its mouth is by charging someone. Now, no charges came out against Trump, so evidently they didn't find what they were looking for in their little fishing expedition. Now, the reason I highlighted that portion of the quote is because on January 12th it was reported, 8 days before Trump's inauguration, that Obama expanded the power of the National Security Agency to share globally intercepted personal communications with the government's 16 other intelligence agencies before applying privacy protections. So basically what he did was he opened it wide open, so 17 different government agencies now had the potential to start leaking stuff. They couldn't prosecute him. There was nothing criminal found, but hey, we can prosecute him in the eyes of the public this way. So we're looking at a failed coup attempt here by Obama. Now let's go on over to other people's stuff here on this. Powerline titles it, "Trump goes nuclear with claim Obama wiretapped him during the election," but it's later on. He says this is the most explosive political allegation in many years, far more explosive than Watergate. And is it true? He says he assumes it has some basis in fact. Trump's security people may have told him they detected a tap on one or more of his phone lines. But he also wonders what Trump meant by turned down by an earlier court, and of course he mentions the update. Scott emailed him, someone in the intelligence law enforcement bureaucracy had applied for a FISA warrant to tap the Trump people in June. It was turned down, renewed, and granted in October. Thing is, a lot of these people didn't hear about this because, once again, It was reported on separately, different news organizations. So these things, the dots weren't connected. Now let's take a look at how nuts this is going. It's only taken 5 hours since his first tweet, and Twitter is now trending Trump Tower, wiretapping, and FISA. This is blowing up. We're going to go take a look at some of the ink dedicated to this over at Memorandum, which basically tracks who's talking about what and what's going big on the internet. Okay, this is their political webpage. Of course, Washington Post, boom. Trump citing no evidence, accuses Obama of Nixon Watergate plot to wiretap Trump Tower. And you can see every single one of these are links to people that are talking about it. And take a look at this. In 5 hours, look at how many stories are out about this. There you go. See? All of these are about this one story. And all of these. The left's having a field day. They want evidence. If he comes up with evidence, or, well, you know that as president, he gets the intel reports now. He might have actually seen the report that verified this. We know Mark Levin, we know Rush Limbaugh, we know everybody's been talking about it. If Trump has that report, he may be able to go after Obama for abusing his position as presidency by not only spying on a private citizen, but of a political opponent who he didn't want to win the election. He may have been using his office of presidency to try to investigate an opposing candidate for no other reason than political gain and to help Hillary Clinton. This thing is breaking. There'll be more out on it. Keep your eyes on this one, folks. It's turning into a big one.